Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Marone for Westchester Talk Radio. And once again, we are with our friends at Hightower Westchester. And today we start a new series. What should I focus on in my 20s, 30s, all the way up to my 70s and beyond? And today we're focusing on finances for people in their 20s. My guest, we see him again, a regular here, Richard Flahav. He is the Private Wealth Advisor and Director of Research and Planning at Hightower. It's great to see you, Richard. And can you talk about starting out in your 20s?
Sure. Yeah. And great to see you, Bob. Thanks for having us on, as always. I think first things first, I'm not in my 20s, but as the quick disclaimer there. But no, I think, as I kind of lay the groundwork for this, and, Peter Roman will speak on decades going forward. This is more of a, we're laying out suggestions and really just a roadmap one should focus on as they really progress through life. I mean, everyone's got just different circumstances, income levels, expenses. So not everyone's going to do exactly what I mentioned in the time frame we're mentioning it. And that's completely normal and completely fine. I think starting off in your 20s, right, it's the first time you have money. And I always joke, it's like, it's okay to buy yourself something, right? This is enjoy yourself a bit. But to a certain extent. And I always go back to, and I was laughing with some of the folks in the office here as I put this together. I remember when I first started working and my father was, hey, you gotta, let's see, what the 401k looks like. Let's set up contributions. Mm-hmm. And I said, Dad, wait, so they're going to take money out of my paycheck and it's going to go to something I'm not going to touch for, 40 years. And he's like, yes. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. I want the money now. And so just, obviously, there's a lot of aspects to it that are going to change. And I think the most important thing you can do, and I'll get into the savings and the investments, but start off understanding what your finances are, what they look like, and what's available to you. There's such a lack of education, as we know, around the subject, in middle school, high school, and so on. So I think just, whether it's family, whether it's an advisor, whether it's someone, a friend, whatever, just get your head around, what's college debt? Who owns the debt? Is it public? Is it private? If you have college, what's the interest rate? What does a budget look like? How do I start that? How do I build credit, 401k, investments, et cetera? Just get your head around it at a really early age, because I think the earlier you understand the nuances of this, the better off you'll be. And then listen, a videocast couldn't go by without me mentioning a budget. This is a great time to at least get the bare bones of it built out. Start thinking about an emergency fund, that kind of 3 to 6 month cushion, and just help kind of control and understand the spending. Right? You want to live below your means. You want to know what you have in excess every month after your taxes, et cetera. There's so many apps and tools out there nowadays. Right? Obviously, you can just pull up good old Excel, but I think to a certain extent, leverage technology the best way you can. And then obviously savings. I think people get wrapped up in the dollar amounts. It's a mistake. Just focus on saving, whether it's $25, $50. And the best thing I seriously have ever heard is pay yourself first, out of sight, out of mind. It goes right from your paycheck, automate it straight into a savings account. Your HR can set it up. Very simple. And I think when you do that, like I said with the 401k, right, just get it done quick and start building up those funds. And just start the groundwork of thinking longer term. Right? You're going to want a house. You're going to want a car, potentially a family. People are getting married and having kids a little bit later nowadays, but that doesn't mean you can't start thinking about that as you progress through your 20s. But the biggest one when it comes to finances is debt reduction, is what we're seeing today. Obviously there's discussion in the news with student loan forgiveness, what all that means, but so many people are strapped with college debt. Prices are going up and up, well above the average inflation rate we've seen over the last 10, 20 years. And I get asked the question a lot, what do I do? Do I save or pay off this debt? There's no really right or wrong answer. It's more case by case. It really depends on the level of debt you have and the type of debt, right? Good debt is low interest rate debt, student loan debt, et cetera. A lot of times, if you're working with a company with your student loans, if you automate the payments, they'll give you a break on the rate, on the interest rate. So something to look into. And then, the bad debt's the credit cards, right? So if you have a ton of bad debt, high credit card balances, you're going to want to attack that first. But listen, the student loan thing is not going to go away overnight. Just start chipping away at it, to whatever level you can.
Is there any way to refinance student debt?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Particularly, similar with homes, right? It's like the last couple of years, rates have been so low. If you look at, some folks that have been out of school for, call it 5-10 years or so, now might not be the good time to refinance as rates are going up. But again, if you had gone to school 20 years ago and 10 years ago you were out and still had student loans, it's a great time to refi and get those rates down.
Okay, we're talking about folks in their 20s. Tell us about investing at that age and how can they get started if they're not doing it already?
Yeah, same as the savings. Just start right away and don't stop. Be consistent with it. This is something, I've had conversations with people. Oh, well, if I pull back on saving here, I highly, would recommend not doing that. Just be consistent with it. Like I said, out of sight, out of mind. And the savings for retirement is the big one. Access your employer's 401k, right? That's gonna be new when you start working. Obviously you can put away the max of 19, 20,000. But again, those earlier salaries, you're likely not going to be able to do that. But sock away what you can. Take advantage, at least at the bare minimum, match. Go up to the amount that the employer matches. That's free money, and that obviously compounds over time. You can open an IRA. You can also open brokerage accounts with one of the custodial platforms. Just start stocking away that way. The beauty of investing at a young age is you can withstand greater risk tolerance and fluctuations in the market because you have time to make it up. And compounding interest is really a powerful tool, probably the most powerful tool in our industry. And I did a simple calculation here. I'll pull up the numbers. If you wanted to get to $1 million at age 67, right, which is generally considered retirement age, at a conservative growth rate of 6% a year, you would need to save in your 20s $319 a month. Seems like seems like a lot. When you get to your 30s, it almost doubles. It gets to $613 a month to get to that $1 million mark. So again, starting earlier, being more consistent with it, you're setting yourself up for financial success longer term.
What about financial decisions that people face outside of dollars and cents? Say more planning specific.
Yeah, I think a lot of one of the bigger things to focus on outside of just all the savings and the investments is to focus on your career. One of our younger employees here, he graduated about a year or two ago. I told him, I said, get it all out of the way. Knock out all your designations, your MBAs, whatever you need to do, because when you get to my age and you have little ones running around, the last thing you want to be doing is burning the midnight oil, studying for an exam, right? So, focus on your career, get what you need to get, series exams, et cetera. And then just, you're kind of graduating out of your parents' household, right? And under their wing. So get your financial documents in order, whether it's, where's your birth certificate, your social security cards, your checking and savings statements, where are they, et cetera. Transition all that, and you can be on your parents' insurance plan until the age of 26 as well. If you're fortunate enough, and then after that, you'll be on your own. So that's the time, obviously, to talk to your HR and get on your own policy there. But again, the debt reduction, as I said, is probably, going to be something important. But also just the long-term goals. I think it's important, as I mentioned earlier, the budget's important, but a part of that budgeting is saying, okay, hey, when do I want to buy a home? Am I close to getting married, having children? All these things are extremely expensive, as we know. And it takes time to build up these accounts to where you're at a comfortable level. So, start thinking bigger picture as well.
Richard Flahav, as always, thank you so very much. Richard is the private wealth advisor and director of research and planning at Hightower. I'm looking forward to learning about the next phase as we enter our 30s. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob.
I'm Bob Marone for Westchester Talk Radio.
Hightower Westchester is a group of investment professionals registered with Hightower Securities LLC, member FINRA and SIPC, and with Hightower Advisors LLC, a registered investment advisor with the SEC. Securities are offered through Hightower Securities LLC. Advisory services are offered through Hightower Advisors LLC. This is not an offer to buy or sell securities. No investment process is free of risk, and there is no guarantee that the investment process or the investment opportunities referenced herein will be profitable. Past performance is not indicative of current or future performance and is not a guarantee. The investment opportunities referenced herein may not be suitable for all investors. All data and information referenced herein are from sources believed to be reliable. Any opinions, news, research, analyses, prices, or other information contained in this research is provided as a general market commentary. It does not constitute investment advice. Hightower Westchester and Hightower shall not in any way be liable for claims and make no expressed or implied representations or warranties as to the accuracy or completeness of the data and other information, or for statements or errors contained in or omissions from the obtained data and information referenced herein. The data and information are provided as of the date referenced. Such data and information are subject to change without notice. This podcast was created for informational purposes only. The opinions expressed are solely those of Hightower Westchester and do not represent those of Hightower Advisors LLC or any of its affiliates. Hightower Advisors do not provide tax or legal advice. This material was not intended or written to be used or presented to any entity as tax advice or tax information. Tax laws vary based on the client's individual circumstances and can change at any time without notice. Clients are urged to consult their tax or legal advisor before establishing a retirement plan.